I am an advocate for getting people to step on stage and go through that entire process from start to finish of doing a competitive bodybuilding prep.
I am not. If you're thinking about doing a bodybuilding competition right now and you're not sure, I'll give you your answer. Don't do it. It's probably the worst sport in the world. Coach Greg, in today's video, Noel Deyzel is cooked.
Pretty cooked at the moment.
More specifically, his relationship with bodybuilding is cooked. Many of you aspire to be bodybuilders. You think it's an amazing thing to do. It's going to perhaps get you to the limelight, get you millions of followers, be as famous as Coach Greg or perhaps Noel Deyzel. But what you need to know is of all the dangers. In my eyes, it's probably the worst sport in the world. It gets you a horrible self-image. You feel fatter than last time. You develop body dysmorphia. You essentially have to abuse performance-enhancing drugs, take years off of your life in order to be the best.
I chased size for almost 18 years, and I managed to get up to 312 pounds. Because I've seen the comments, a lot of people are saying, you're smaller, you've lost a lot of size, and rightfully so, because I'm down to 240 pounds.
Noel knows that despite the fact that he chased size for 18 years, he says it himself, that he didn't need to do that anymore, that it's slowly killing him.
And these figures, like He-Man and many others that I had, created this perception in me at a young age of what peak masculinity looked like.
Now, many people think that it's just females that have unrealistic body images, but my opinion is men, they actually have it worse. With women, they just essentially have to be thin. They can get surgeries, breast augmentation, they can get lip filler, they can get a BBL. But with men, to get the physique that they depict on the internet and social media, movies and so on, it's impossible without abusing steroids. What do you think people end up doing? They abuse steroids. And so my argument is that for men to get the ideal physique, they need drugs, and for women to get it, they need surgeries. And so which is worse? I personally think that abusing steroids is worse than getting surgeries, but you can debate me, you can say, no, it's worse. And so I think we can all agree both men and women are cooked.
I grew up very skinny. Not the first time I'm saying this either, but I was referred to as the electric cord version of a human being.
Bro doesn't actually know what it's like to be skinny. He's thinking that this is skinny. 6'2", 150 pounds. Is it big? No. But does he look like a rail? When I look at that physique as a teenager, I'm thinking it has a lot of potential. He has rather wide shoulders. He doesn't have a lot of body fat. And for being 6'2", that isn't really all that small. I've seen a lot smaller than this. And so imagine thinking that at 6'2", you got the short end of the stick.
People mock me all the time because I was just so tall and skinny and lanky.
People bullied him. They made fun of him. They said, you're skinny. This is my opinion. They had to say something. Most people are intimidated by people who are taller or better than them. Perhaps he was smarter than them, better looking than them, better at sports than them. And so they tried to put him down a notch. Hey, you're skinny. Yeah, you're 6'2" and you can slam dunk, but you're skinny. And so you can't listen to that. What did he do? Well, he did the same thing as many teenagers did. He went to the gym. He started to eat big to get big. He eventually succumbed to the pressures of using performance-enhancing drugs.
It just fueled this desire just to get even bigger, because surely getting bigger meant even more compliments.
And so you may join the gym thinking, well, I'm going to do this natural. There's not many people that join the gym and are thinking, you know, I can't wait to use steroids. I believe that almost everyone, male or female, when they first join the gym are thinking, I'm going to do this natural. But they go to the gym, they get great results, and you would think that those great results would tell them, hey, you don't need steroids, look at how you're doing. But it actually does the opposite, because so many people give them compliments, boost your self-esteem, your dopamine levels are going up, you're hearing more and more compliments, and the bigger you get, the more compliments you receive. People then say, you have so much potential, you should hop on, you should do steroids. They start watching the Trend Twins, Togi, Clavicular, and they're thinking, well, they use steroids and look how they turned out. And so they end up hopping on and using performance-enhancing drugs, and only later realizing that it was in fact a mistake.
I ended up doing shows, I ended up doing competitions, ended up putting on a lot more mass, a lot more size.
And so when you hear somebody having trained for several years, and then all of a sudden saying, I started putting on a lot more size, a lot more mass, It's code for they started to use steroids. Now, it's possible it was SARMs and peptides, but essentially it's steroids. Once you use steroids, this is the main problem. The steroids, they work. If steroids didn't work, it wouldn't be so addictive. It's not as if we're talking about Turk Platinum, which obviously can add 3 or 4 pounds of muscle. It's going to help you more than creatine. But this is not as potent as using steroids. It isn't addictive. It isn't banned by WADA. It's not going to negatively affect your blood work. But let's imagine that it did. Picture this adds 15 pounds of muscle in 4 months. Once you've used it once, you think you're ever going to stop. Picture it. Imagine there's a new pill, Turk Diamond, 15 pounds of muscle in 4 months. How do you stop? How do you stop using it? Your physique, it transforms. You get that more impressive physique, the amount of compliments through the roof. People are going to come up to you and say, wow, oh my goodness, you look so good. What have you been doing? The before and after transformation, all the likes, your subs, it's increasing. You're perhaps getting more girls. You then stop. Oh, well, I finished my cycle. And then what happens when you lose almost all of it, or at least half? Less compliments, less dopamine. I remember the first time I did a bodybuilding competition. This is the first time I remember getting negative comments. I had done my competition. I won my competition. People are saying like, wow, look at your physique, your abs, your legs. I can't believe you look like this. You won it all. Wow. A month later, I gained 20 pounds of fat. Abs were gone. And they're saying, what happened to you? And I'm thinking, well, I'm back to my old self. I stopped dieting. You used to have abs. You used to look like this. Where did your physique go? And I'm thinking, well, this doesn't feel very good. And so then I enter my next competition. I get my physique back again. The compliments, the dopamine, the thrill. Won again. Off the diet, gain the weight back. Compliments, they stop. Next competition. Can you see the back and forth? You look in the mirror and you remember the physique that you had on stage. With the tan, the oil glistening, the six-pack. People amazed by your physique. You're getting into magazines and eventually magazine covers. Everyone is complimenting you. Do you not see how tempting that is to keep going? And so despite the fact that you feel like garbage, no energy, brain fog, libido in the toilet, can hardly get it up, sleeping 3 hours a night, but you're doing the next show because you want the dopamine. You want the thrill of victory. And so the better you're at it, the harder it is to stop. And so I couldn't stop. I would not stop. And eventually I resorted to using performance enhancing drugs. And so why? Because I wanted an IFBB Pro card. I wanted to continue. I wanted to keep getting better. People are saying, hey, you can be a pro. You can do it. Look at your body. This is natural. Are you kidding me? All you need is to go on. Hopped on Pro card. And so that is my story, but luckily, eventually I was able to stop before it ended me. And so if you're watching this video right now, you just watched whatever Trend Twins video or whoever, and you're thinking, I need the steroids. I'm going to compete. You don't need them. You can compete natural, or you cannot compete at all. Bodybuilding is made for perhaps 1% of the 1%. Out of all the people who are bodybuilding right now, whoever tried it once, probably only 1% are actually cut out for it. You all think, well, if I take steroids, I'm going to blow up. I'm going to be the next Mr. Olympia champion. The odds of that are probably less than 1 in a million. You have a 1 in a million physique. Even with steroids, you're probably not going to be the Mr. Olympia. It's harder than that. There are 8 billion people on this planet. 1 in a million, there's 8,000 of you. Think of it. You have a 1 in a million physique. There's 8,000 people out there that have just as good of a physique as you. And they're willing to train harder than last time, to spend years doing this and abuse steroids. And so what chance do you have if you're natural? And so perhaps just don't compete. Get a really good physique. You can maintain somewhere between 10 and 15% body fat and just try to be the best that you can be.
I am an advocate for getting people to step on stage and go through that entire process from start to finish of doing a competitive bodybuilding prep.
I am not. I'm not an advocate for people to just try it just for the shits of it. And so in fact, if you're thinking about doing a bodybuilding competition right now and you're not sure, I'll give you your answer. Don't do it. You were thinking I was going to say, yeah, give it a try. It'll change you. It's good for your personality. It'll bring up your character. No. The only people that should bodybuild are the people that are saying, I need to bodybuild. Bodybuilding chose me. I didn't even choose it. I can't wait to compete. There's no way I'm not competing. I am entering it no matter what. It's the most important thing in my life. If you feel that way, yeah, you can compete. If you're thinking, maybe I'm going to compete, I might want to compete, maybe next year, I'm going to get a coach. Hey, if I can stay on my diet for the next 6 weeks, then I might compete. Oh, I'm going to diet for a show. I'm 16 weeks out. I'll decide at 5 weeks out whether I feel like I'm going to compete or not. It's a no. It's not even close. And so if you don't know for sure that you want to compete, you don't want to compete. And so it's as simple as that.
Through the competitive bodybuilding phase, I was taking a lot of, let's refer to them as gym medicines.
Then came the gym medicines. You can call it medication. The problem is we're not supposed to use them. They're medications that aren't really prescribed to you. And so we're doing what we have to do. I've done it. Noel's done it. He's admitting it. I'm admitting it. It's a mistake. It's not good for us. We're perhaps taking years off of our life. But remember, Noel is now 42 years of age. I did not know he was that old. I am 50. I am your future self. I was once you in my younger years. And so you might be thinking, oh, you're an unk, you're an old man. Yeah, true, but I once was you. And so I'm giving you the advice that I would have given myself if I was able to go back in time and talk to my young self. I would say, don't do it. Especially the way I did, way too high doses, absolutely ridiculous, because I wanted to be the best. Being the best doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's all about the journey. It's not whether you win or lose. It really isn't. I remember my best competitions where I won or my worst competitions where I placed the most awful. It didn't matter. For 2 days, I was excited if I won, and I was for 2 days disappointed if I lost. It didn't matter. And so what really matters is how hard are you trying? If you try natural to be your best versus you try enhanced to be your best, you're still trying your best. The only thing is, one is using enhancements, which is going to shorten your life. And the other, you're staying natty, you're staying true to yourself. You won't have regrets when you're older. I don't know anyone who gets older, they're perhaps 50 years of age, and they say, you know what I regret? Not blasting when I was 18. You know, if I had only just started abusing steroids when I was 16, I could have been something. I never once in my life had wished I'd used steroids sooner. Remember, I started in my 30s. I never thought, man, when I won the nationals as a lightweight, I was 25. Why didn't I start then? Or, geez, had I started at 18, imagine how much better I would go. I never have thought that, ever. And so whatever age you are right now, you're not going to get older and think, I wish I'd started younger. I don't care who you are. Ask anyone. Ask Jay Cutler. Ask Phil Heath. Ask Ronnie Coleman. Do you wish you had started steroids sooner? Remember, Ronnie Coleman states he has not even used steroids until he was an IFBB pro. He won his pro card as a natty. Ask him, hey, Ronnie, do you wish you had started steroids at 25 rather than when you were older? He's not going to say, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I wish I'd started steroids as an amateur. Of course not. Ask Phil Heath. Hey, Phil, do you wish you would have started using steroids in university playing basketball? You'd have quit basketball a couple of years younger. You know you're a Division I basketball player. And you wish you wouldn't have played basketball, blasted steroids as a teenager so that you could be better. I mean, look at what Sam Sulik's done. He started steroids as perhaps an 18-year-old. Chris Bumstead at 18. Don't you regret starting it at 18? He would say, of course not. What are you talking about? And so I believe if Chris Bumstead had started steroids older in life, he would have extended his career. He perhaps wouldn't have won the Olympia quite as young, but he would be winning it now. Chris Bumstead could have waited till he was 25. He could have won all those natural competitions. He could have been world famous as a natty. And perhaps at 25 decides, you know what, I'm going to now dabble into the steroids. He then competes until he's 35. Perhaps he wins 10 Olympiads instead of 6. And so if you're not sure if you should be using steroids now, the answer is you shouldn't. You should wait. It's always, you should wait. If you're 16, should I use steroids or SARMs, peptide? Nope, you should wait. And when you're 18, you should use it now? Nope, you should wait. When you're 25, nope, you should wait. And so when should you start using them? You should start using them when you cannot wait. When you almost have to, when you refuse not to. Not when you're on the fence, maybe. Before I decided to use steroids, it had been on my mind for several years. I had researched all about it. I knew more about performance-enhancing drugs as a natural than 99% of people who were blasting steroids and been using them for years. And why? Because I was researching to be an expert. I didn't want to make stupid decisions without knowing about them in totality. And so I'm in my 30s as an adult at my natural genetic limit, and then I decided to hop on to become an IBB pro. And so you might say I'm a hypocrite, but hey, if I'm a hypocrite, I want you to also be a hypocrite. Don't use steroids until you're as well-versed and as trained as I am.
I'm not taking these gym medicines anymore that are affecting my androgens and affecting my emotional state and my sleep and all of that. I'm doing far more cardio than what I've ever done in my life.
And like I've been saying, cardio is more important than weights. And I know that all the bodybuilders and generally people that watch my channel are more into lifting weights. They get mad when I say this. Weights is not as important as cardio. The most important muscle in the body is the heart. Your VO2 max is the #1 predictor of longevity. It's way more important than how much you can bench, squat, or deadlift. And so Noel is now doing more cardio and he's lean. He feels much better at 240 pounds shredded than at 312 pounds bulked up. And so y'all can watch Mr. Mike blab about bulk and cut, midi cut this and bulk that, and mesocycles food up and food down. Just eat at maintenance, for Pete's sakes. You can put on muscle without having to get fat, without having to gain fat. Stay healthy. Look good year round. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to put on fat, look in the mirror and say bye to your abs and not enjoy the way you look. And then, oh, it's summer coming and then you cut down, back and forth every year. Just eat. And if you don't know how to eat, this is the best book in the world. The Anabolic Cookbook 3.1, the low-calorie, delicious recipes that are made excessively easy for anyone to make. This was made, for example, the 18-year-old, the 21-year-old who's never cooked. They don't have a nutrition degree. They don't know about making foods. This is so easy. It's the beginner cookbook. I could rename this the beginner bodybuilding book. The book that everyone can use. Code Greg, 15% off.
Yes, I still go to the gym almost every single day. I am prioritizing my recovery, but I take off 2 days a week. So I follow a 3-day on split, 1 day off. I just feel so much more present. I guess it's something that I had to go through.
I used to lift in the gym 7 days a week. I prided myself on training every single day. Oftentimes, it would be months before I had a day off. I couldn't take a day off. Now, I lift weights twice a week. 2 days a week I lift weights and I just train my whole body. And on top of that, I'm doing 10 hours of cardio. And so I used to spend the same amount of total hours in the gym, but my former hours were more just lifting weights. I rested a long time between sets. I was powerlifting. I was trying to be as strong, as big as possible. Now, it's more about my fitness. I still have plenty of muscle. I do believe that just training twice a week, you're going to get 80% of the muscle growth as you would from training 7 days a week. And so if you want to get the most from the least, you train 2 days a week, and on top of that, you do cardio, and you will feel better than ever. If you're just lifting weights 7 days a week right now, you're not doing cardio, divide that workout in half. Train at most 3 days a week. I mean, even 2 is plenty. If you want to continue to do 3 days a week instead of 7, and replace all those extra days of lifting weights with cardio, and in 3 to 6 months from now, you look back. Where are you healthier? Where are you fitter? Where do you look better? I can almost guarantee you're going to be better by lifting less and doing more cardio, and you will in fact live longer. And so is it really worth chasing size at all costs at the expense of the quality and quantity of your life? And of course, you want to add in GO2 max to improve your cardio, stamina, energy, as well as the Turk Platinum. You add these two together, you're going to get the most out of your training. You're going to recover faster. You're going to feel more energy in the gym. You're going to be able to push harder. You have more muscle. And so if you are interested, go to HGLT website, code Greg, 15% off.
I had this phobia of losing weight. I was too afraid, and I built my identity for 18 years. I'm trying to be as big as possible. I was so afraid to shift from that to the point where it was causing me problems in my life.
And so happy to see Noel Deyzel opening up, sharing his decision to downsize, to get off of the performance-enhancing drugs. The fear that he had to actually lose that muscle, to lose that size, that he identified with this, stemming from the comments that were made bullying him as a teenager, that he was a skinny guy. And so I'm sure many of you can relate. And so please, hopefully I've been able to convince you to at least hold off on using steroids? Perhaps instead of that, use natural supplements. Make the most of it. If you're interested in being sponsored, being coached by myself, or carrying the supplements into your stores, click all of those links. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment to boost the algo, as well as to go to Algo RX. Please watch one of the two bloops. Continue to watch more of my videos. And until next time, I am out.